Hi folks, this is Kareem Raouf from our IT Visualizer channel. We will continue our lab, the Matrix Labs, the video number 21. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. I'm still working on using the DCDIAG tool and its tests to verify our domain controller and Active Directory health. We have been talking about the test called KccEvent and the test called cross-ref validation, and we have stopped at the test called Vismo check. So the Vismo check, let me show you a little bit of a slide here of Mr. Low Van den Poel. He said that the Vismo check checks the domain controller can contact a Kerberos key distribution center, a time server, a preferred time server, a primary domain controller, and a global catalog. This test doesn't test any of the servers for operational master roles. We all know there is something called Vismo roles, or these are special functions held by certain domain controllers that this function will help or will do something in the domain. So for example, one of these functions are read master. This is a very important function. Any computer or any user creating the Active Directory will have a unique ID. The read master server role, it will give IDs to any newly created user or computer. This is held by one of the domain controllers, okay, or all of the Vismo roles can be held by one domain controller. So we all know, we have seen that there is 5 Vismo roles, or flexible, I think flexible server master operation. I think this is the name of the, or this is the abbreviation of Vismo. Let me have a little bit of a look here. This is the explanation, or these are the Vismo roles. Let me show you. Or what are Vismo roles? This flexible single master operation. So we can see that there is 5 Vismo roles: schema master and domain naming master and read master and PDC emulator and infrastructure master. All of these are certain functions that are held by one or more domain controllers. Okay, very important to know these roles, because if any of these roles are not working, or any of these functions are not working properly, a lot of problems could arise. For example, if the read master role is not working, you'll not be able to create any new users or computers, because any user or computer created should have an ID, and the one responsible for that is the read master. So that if the read master is down, you will not be able to create any user or computer. If the PDC emulator is down, you will not be able to log in to the domain, and you will not be able to sync the time of your workstation with the time of the domain controller. So these are very important roles. But on the contrary, or ironically, the Vismo check does not test these Vismo or flexible single master operation roles. It will not test these functions. It tests, or it checks if there is a domain controller in the domain. If there is a domain controller that will act as a primary domain controller, a global catalog, a time server, a Kerberos key distribution center. So this is the Vismo check. The Vismo check will check in the domain if there is any domain controller that is acting as a time server, or a preferred time server, or a primary domain controller, or a global catalog. Okay, so this is what the Vismo check do. But we need to know the concept of Vismo roles, or the flexible single master operation roles. So this what we were talking about in the previous video. So we need to know which domain controller are holding or is holding the 5 Vismo roles. Okay, how we can do that, or how we can know that? You can go to any domain controller and issue this command, which was called netdom query Vismo. This will let you know which of your domain controllers are holding which of the Vismo roles, or the flexible single master operation roles. Okay, so we will see now. I will type this command on my additional domain controller, and it will tell me that all of these Vismo roles are held by the primary domain controller. So this is one thing to know. Let me show you all how we can do this. So here what we can do, here we can go to the additional domain controller, we will issue the command, and then it will tell me who is holding the 5 Vesmo roles. As we said before, this can be held by one domain controller, or it can be distributed by on a couple of domain controllers. Okay. So here we will open the Windows terminal. I need to pin it to the taskbar so I can open it easily. Then we will type netdom query Vesmo. And by the way, one of the things also, if your primary or if the domain controller holding these Vesmo roles is down, you can transfer these Vesmo roles to another server, which is very, very critical. If the domain controller holding these Vesmo roles is down, you can move it to another domain controller, so your operation or your network operation or the domain network operation will continue, so the users can still log in and can still sync their time with the domain controller. They can still, or you can still create new users and computers. So if the server holding these Vismo roles is down, you can transfer it from one server to another. Or if you are migrating from migrating your operating system on one of your domain controllers from a new or from an old operating system to a new operating system, and this domain controller is holding these Vismo roles, you can also transfer it to the new domain controller and then get rid of the old domain controller. So for example, if this is an old domain controller, we have Windows 2012 R2 on it, and you need to move it to another server or upgrade it to Windows Server 2022. So you will create a new domain controller, join it to the domain, and we will have installed on it the new operating system. Then you will move the Vismo roles from 2012 R2 to 2022 and then decommission this server completely. So let's see. So as we can see here, the one holding the 5 Vismo roles, it is the primary domain controller. So now, one of the things also, or one of the tests that should be or will run using the DCDIAG tool, something called KCC event check. Okay, let me show you all this test also. It's called KCC event. Checks if the KCC is completing without errors. What is the KCC? The KCC, it is a feature on every domain controller that will check, or this feature knows the topology of the domain controllers, which domain controllers are near to the server holding the KCC feature. So for example, if you have a server have KCC feature on it, it will know what are the domain controllers near to it, so it can replicate it or replicate its data or database to it in a short time. So every domain controller have a KCC feature. This KCC feature knows the topology of the network, which domain controllers are near to it and which domain controllers are far from it. So when you replicate the database, it will use the shortest path, okay, and it will replicate it in the least amount of time. So we can see here this Active Directory is a part of the distributed system that performs replication. The knowledge consistency checker is a component that is used to create spanning trees from DC to DC replication. The goal is always to keep the Active Directory data consistent across all DCs while using network resources as efficient as possible. So we can see here, for example, that this is not efficient. A is replicating to B, B is replicating to C, and C is replicated to D. So for example, if I need to replicate from A to C directly, okay, this will be short, or this will be the shortest path. I don't need to replicate to B, then B replicate to C, or in any way. So that KCC will know which is the shortest path to replicate the Active Directory database, okay? So let's see also, let's see Mr. Lobandenpol is explaining it. So the KCC event test, it will see if there is any errors related to the KCC component or the KCC service. If there is a problem with this one, then the replication will take a long time, or there will be errors with the replication because the KCC is not functioning properly. This is the one that holds the network topology of the domain controllers. If there is a problem with it, then the replication could take a long time, or could be errors related to the application. So let's see another diagram to see here. He's saying that DCC is not an efficient spanning tree configuration for replication. Let's see, and I will ask the AI tools to explain the test of the KCC event anyway, but this is what we mean by KCC or knowledge consistency checker. Let's go and see another diagram. Here we'll see, for example, this is a spanning tree, okay, or this is a way, for example, if you need to go to C, then you need to replicate to C, then you should go to D and then go to C. You cannot go to B, for example, and then to C. This is the shortest path, even though it seems to be all equally the same. Or if you need to replicate to D, then you should replicate to B, then to C, then to D, okay? So this is a spanning tree, or this is a topology or a network or a diagram that the KCC knows, or it creates to know what is the shortest path to the nearest domain controller. So it can replicate its data or the Active Directory database to it. Okay, so let's go and see. This is one of the tests, the KCC event. So we need to check if the KCC service is running properly by checking the event viewer for any KCC event errors. Okay, so here's the Active Directory replication. Active Directory replication model ensures the Active Directory data on one domain controller will eventually coverage with the replica of the same data on other domain controllers in the same domain. This is the replication. In simple terms, replication, it copies all of the data of the Active Directory from one domain controller to the other, so the Active Directory database is the same on or across all domain controllers in the forest, okay? Or not in the forest, in the same domain, if there is a couple of domains, okay? So here what we need to do, I think here I will run the test of KCC events, I think. Let's see, here we will type /test. You can identify the test, so you can go test and tell it this is the test of the Vesmo check. This is invalid syntax, I think. Let me show you all. So this is not checking the Vesmo roles, it's checking if the domain the domain will have a domain controller that is acting as a PDC, a time server, a global catalog, and so on. So let me show you all. Here is the right syntax. Just a moment. So the right syntax, here it is. This is the right syntax. Test Vesmo check. This will check, as you can see here, it will check that it is have already passed, and it by successful or running this test successfully, then it knows that there is a time server in this domain or matrix to internal domain. There is a global catalog server. All of these are checked, and it can verify it is there, and it can reach it. So for example, this is my server is acting as a PDC. So if I shut it down and try to run the same test from the additional domain controller, the test will fail because it will not reach the PDC. One of the things, or one of the tests that the Vesmo check, it's checking for the PDC, okay, or the primary domain controller. Okay, this is one of the things, okay, that if I run this test from the additional domain controller, okay, it will not find the PDC, okay, it will not find the PDC. Or let's see, for example, if we try to run it from the additional domain controller, we will see it will fail, okay. So again, the Vesmo check, it is not a test verifying or confirming that the Vismo roles are held by one of the domain controllers or a couple of domain controllers. It is testing different things. It is testing if there is in the domain a domain controller that is acting as a time server, that is acting as the primary domain controller, that is acting as a global catalog server. All of this should be done. So as we can see here, it is passed because all of these, the time server, the PDC, all of these are held by the primary domain controller. Okay. By the way, all of these. Okay. So let me show you something here. Let me go back. So all of these services are held by the two domain controllers, the primary and the additional. Okay. But only one of these is the primary domain controller. So let me show you something. This is service called global catalog server, preferred time server, a time server, and the Kerberos key distribution center. All of these, if we see 1, 2, 3, 4, if I go back, these two have the 4 things, okay, that was in the test. Okay, all of these, or these two domain controllers will have, let me show you all, will have a key distribution or Kerberos key distribution center, will act as a time server. There is a preferred time server, and it will act as a global catalog server. The two servers have these 4 features in it, or these services, but only one will act as a primary domain controller, which is DCSM0125. So if I close this server and run the test from here, it will fail because it didn't find the PDC. All of the other 4 services, it will find it, okay, because the server have all of these 4 services, but the only service that is not available on this server is the PDC. The PDC is on this server. This is the server that will act as the primary domain controller. So let's see if we have suspend this server. Let's see if the test will succeed. So here what we need to do, we will run, I think here I'm running the KCC. Okay, let's see first. This is the Vismo check. Okay, it passed. We know all of that. We know it's already passed, but we need to suspend this server and run the test again and see if it will succeed. So this test check that the domain controller can contact a Kerberos key distribution center, all of the services. So let's see if we try to suspend the server or the primary domain controller. So we will suspend it, and then we will try to run the Vismo check again. So we need to go again and run the test. You will see it will fail because it didn't find the PDC. Okay, the domain controller holding the PDC service, this is the server. Okay, so it is not online, so you will see it will fail. Okay, you will see our primary domain controller could not be located. The server holding the PDC role is down. So this is one of the things. It failed because it didn't find the PDC server. Okay, all of the other services are currently held by this server, but the PDC is held by this server. Okay, so if you try to resume the server and run the test again, it will say it is successful. So this is very, very good test to know if your PDC is down or up. Okay, so this is a good thing to know. I think after that we need to run the KCC. Okay, this is, or Intersite. This is another test. Okay, so we have seen the Vismo check test, and we have another 2 tests, one called Intersite test and one called KCC event test. The KCC event test will go and check the event viewer on the server running the KCC test. Okay, it will check the event viewer and see if there is any errors related for the knowledge consistency checker service on the server. Okay, if there is any errors, it will list it and say it to us. As for the Intersite, this is a service. This test will ensure that there is replication of the Active Directory database within or within the sites. So we have only one site here. We have, this is the default first name site. We have only one site. If there is a couple of sites, then this test will ensure that the replication of database is done between the sites. Okay, but anyway, it will give successful because I have only one site. So this will not be an indication of a success because I have only one site. If I have a couple of sites, then this test is critical to see if there is a replication of the Active Directory database between the different sites in different geographical locations. Okay, so let me first try to give you something here. If we try to ask the AI tool to explain these two tests, the Intersite test and the KCC event test, let's see a small explanation concerning this, even though it is very, very simple, but let's see the AI tools and their answer concerning these two tests. Just wait for a moment. Till I explain this text in layman terms. We all know what is layman terms, and then we will put like that, and this is KCC event test check done by DCDIAG tool. Let's see. So let's see the answer of ChatGPT concerning this KCC event tests. Let's go and run it or read it loudly.
Sure, let's break down the explanation of the KCC event test in layman's terms. What is the KCC event test? Purpose. The KCC event test checks that the Knowledge Consistency Checker, KCC, is working correctly and finishing its tasks without any errors. What is the Knowledge Consistency Checker? KCC explained. Imagine you have a network of friends, and you want to make sure everyone in the group stays in touch and shares information with each other. The KCC is like the organizer of this group. It makes sure that everyone, in this case, all the domain controllers in a network, is connected and communicating properly. What does the KCC event test do? Checks for errors. The test looks to see if the KCC is doing its job without running into problems. It's like checking to make sure the group organizer is able to keep everyone in touch without any issues. Why is this important? Ensuring smooth communication. If the KCC encounters errors, it means there might be problems with how information is shared and kept consistent across the network. This could lead to some parts of the network not getting the latest updates or having outdated information. Real-world example. Scenario. Imagine your office has multiple servers that need to stay in sync with each other to ensure everyone has the most current information. The KCC helps these servers stay in sync by organizing how they communicate and share updates. Impact of KCC event test failure. Outdated information. If the KCC isn't working properly, some servers might have outdated or inconsistent information. Communication breakdown. This can lead to errors and inefficiencies as different parts of the network might not be properly updated. Summary. In simple terms, the KCC event test checks to make sure that the part of the network, the KCC, responsible for keeping all servers connected and updated is working without problems. If this test finds errors, it means there might be issues with how information is shared across the network, which could cause inconsistencies and communication problems. By running the KCC event test, administrators can ensure that the network is functioning smoothly and all parts of the network are properly updated and in sync.
So this is the KCC. Here is saying that this test will check if this service is working properly and it finishes its task without any errors. This is correct, and it's responsible for organizing, and it's not in here he is organizing, or he is having a blueprint of all of the domain controllers in the network, and this blueprint will help it to replicate the Active Directory database to the nearest domain controller, and this will help the replication to be done in the shortest time possible. Let's see if we ask Rika the same, but even though here he is not saying that in a direct way, that it is responsible for having, or it is basically the replication depends on the KCC, but here is saying it organize or keep all of the domain controllers connected, even though this is not the case. But let me see if Rika will give us the correct answer. So let's see the answer here. This is a KCC. It is a consistency checker that uses microservices. KCC is a background process that helps maintain the consistency and correctness of replication topology within Active Directory. So this is the correct one, even though ChatGPT 4o is saying it in an indirect way, but this is the direct answer. It maintains the consistency and correctness of replication topology within Active Directory. So as I've said before, the topology or the network topology, there is a topology that the KCC have, or a blueprint of the domain controllers. He is using this blueprint of the domain controllers to help it to replicate the database in an efficient way. It ensures all domain controllers have the correct information and the directory structure is consistent across all servers. Okay, checks that KCC is completing without errors. This part of text is saying that there is a test being run to make sure that KCC process is working properly and not encountering errors. If the KCC have errors, it could mean that there are issues with how information is being shared and synced between different parts of the network, which can lead to problems with accessing resources. Of course, if the replication is not done correctly, okay, it will lead to problems. So if there is a problem with the KCC or of the topology of the replication, then the replication won't be done efficiently, and we will see problems accessing resources and logging into the domain, for example. But I need to have something here, or let me tell it to explain, but using real world example, because here I need to clarify it more. So if you go there and copy, and then let's ask it the same, but not layman terms, using real world example. Let's see, using real world examples in the context of Active Directory domain. For example, domain named matrix dot internal. So this is one thing we can do. Okay, let's copy this. So we'll copy this one and let's see the answer. Okay, so he's saying here that concerning this example, he's saying that imagine that you have matrix.internal, a large company internal network with multiple domain controllers located in different office locations across the world. So we have a domain matrix.internal, and this domain, there is different domain controllers in different offices in different geographical locations. This DC works together to ensure all computers and users and resources within the domain are managed consistently and securely. He is saying that KCC, it's a component of the Active Directory that automatically manages and optimizes the replication topology between domain controllers. It ensures that each DC had the most up-to-date information about all other domain controllers in the domain, and that the replication passes between them are efficient, the shortest paths, and error-free. So checks the KCC, this test check the KCC if it's completing without errors. So now let's say that IT team wants to make sure that the KCC is functioning properly across all the domain controller. Then they use the DCDIAG, which is a command utility designed to diagnose and troubleshoot AD issues. One of the tests is DCDIAG performs is the KCC test. So if the KCC service on all domain controller is correct, then the topology and the replication will be correct. Okay, or we can guarantee that there is no problems concerning the replication paths across the domain. Purpose of the test. This test checks whether the KCC process on each domain controller is running smoothly and completing its task without encountering any errors. Errors in the KCC could indicate problems with the replication topology, such as incorrect connections between DCs, there is a problem or a broken connection between the DCs, or issues with the replication schedules, or maybe the replication is done during peak hours, so the replication is not done efficiently. So, but if there is errors here, it in the KCC, then I think maybe it is related to a connection between the DCs. Okay, so this is one thing. Okay. As with replication schedules, I don't know. Outcome, if the KCC test passed, it means the KCC is working as expected and the replication topology within the matrix internal domain is consistent and error-free. If the test failed, it might indicate there are issues, the replication setup that need to be addressed by the IT team. There is a problem, for example, maybe there is some connection failing between some domain controllers, or the connection between some DCs are weak, or it is slow, so maybe there is a problem. Okay, to maintain the integrity and the performance of the Active Directory. Anyway, so this is a good answer, even though ChatGPT 4o has give us an explanation, but I need to give it the same question. Let's ask it. So let's see the answer of ChatGPT 4o. So again, here is saying the same answer. Knowledge consistency is a like network coordinator, ensures all domain controllers in the network are properly connected and communicate with each other to share updates and synchronize data. This is referring to the replication in an indirect way. Okay, so what does KCC test do? Okay, it's saying that it can do the job without any errors. So let's go to the real world example. Imagine Matrix internal has multiple offices in different locations, New York, London, and Tokyo. Each office has its own domain controller to manage local network resources. The KCC in Matrix.internal domain ensures that the DCs in New York, London, and Tokyo are all connected and share updates or replicate. For example, if a user password is changed in New York, this change needs to be replicated. So here is the first appearing of the replication term to the DC in London and Tokyo, so the users can log in seamlessly from any location. Impact of KCC failure. Example, if KCC is not working correctly, the New York DC might have updated user password, but London and Tokyo still have the old passwords. Okay, this means that the user who updated their password in New York could face login issues in London or Tokyo. Okay, this is correct. Communication breakdown. If KCC encounter errors, the New York might not be able to send or receive updates from London and Tokyo. This leads to discrepancies in group policies, security setting, and other critical information. So here again, he is insisting that the KCC, it is a service that makes sure all DCs are connected and they are sharing data efficiently. Even though this seems to be correct, but the correct terminology that it holds the topology for the replication, okay, which servers are near to it and which servers are far from it, even though this is not said by ChatGPT. Why running the KCC test is crucial. By running the KCC event, administrators or matrix internal can ensure that KCC is functioning properly. This helps maintain consistent and accurate information across all offices. Okay. In simple terms, the KCC checks to make sure that the part of the network KCC responsible for keeping all the mail controllers connected and syncing and working without problems. I don't like this answer, even though it seems to be logical, but it's not the correct one. So let's again ask a third tool just to get different answers. So here, this is the first time I see that ChatGPT is not giving an answer that I like, even though in most cases it is correct. So let's ask, for example, ask Gemini, even though sometimes Gemini is not giving correct answer, and a lot of times it's not giving correct answer. But let's see the answer of Gemini. Okay, and let's see this. Okay, let's see. Okay, keeping everyone in sync. The KCC is like a team meeting check. Okay, are happening. KCC are regular communication systems between we're discussing and made to ensure. In simple terms, this check if information all the main codes and units being updated. The same as answer of ChatGPT. The most correct one is Rika, because it insists that it is related or it has a topology or replication topology. Let's see if I try to tell it to give it a real world example. Anyway, I think this is the best one is for Rika. Okay, so let's ask it another question related to the Intersite test. So if we tell it to explain the Intersite test, so now we can know this, the KCC. Let's copy this and ask the AI tool to explain the Intersite test. So you can copy this one and then put it here. Let's go there and put it here, and let's say this is the Intersite, and let's see the answer of ChatGPT. So I think this is a better explanation or better example. Let's see the answer of ChatGPT 4.0.
Sure, let's break down the explanation of the Intersite test in layman's terms. What is the Intersite test? Purpose. The Intersite test checks for problems that might prevent or delay the replication of information between different sites, locations in a network. It also predicts how long it would take for the Knowledge Consistency Checker, KCC, to fix these problems. What is Intersite replication? Intersite replication explained. Imagine your company has offices in different cities, like New York, London, and Tokyo. Each office has its own server, domain controller, that needs to share information with the servers in the other offices. Intersite replication is the process of these servers sharing updates and information across these different locations. What does the Intersite test do? Checks for problems. The test looks for any issues that might stop or delay the servers from different offices, sites, from sharing information with each other. Predicts recovery time. It also estimates how long it would take for the KCC, which is like the network's coordinator, to fix any issues it finds. Why is this important? Ensuring smooth operation. If there are problems with intersite replication, some offices might have outdated or incorrect information, leading to various issues like login problems or incorrect access permissions. Real-world example in a company. Scenario. Imagine your company, Global Corp, has offices in New York, London, and Tokyo. Each office has its own server that manages the local network. Role of intersite replication. For everything to work smoothly, these servers need to share updates. For example, if an employee in New York gets a promotion, this update needs to be reflected in London and Tokyo, so they have the same information. Impact of intersite replication problems. 1. Outdated information. Example? If there are issues with intersite replication, the London and Tokyo offices might not know about the employee's promotion in New York. This could lead to confusion and errors, such as the employee not getting the correct permissions or access. 2. Delayed updates. Example, if the servers can't share information quickly, any changes made in one office will take longer to appear in the others. This delay can cause various operational problems. Why running the intersite test is crucial. By running the intersite test, administrators can detect and fix problems that might prevent the servers from different offices from sharing information properly. It ensures that all offices have up-to-date and consistent information, preventing issues like login problems and outdated data. Summary. In simple terms, the intersite test checks to make sure there are no problems stopping the servers in different offices from sharing information. It also estimates how long it would take to fix any issues it finds. If this test finds problems, it means there might be delays or failures in sharing updates between offices, leading to outdated or incorrect information. By using the intersite test, administrators can ensure that the entire company's network runs smoothly and that all offices have up-to-date and consistent information.
One question arises, how the KCC, let me see because there is here something, how the KCC the KCC, or let's say what is the relation between the KCC? What is the relation between the KCC and the intersite test? Focus on how or focus on let's see, to ask it, focus on how the KCC help to, how long it would take for the KCC to recover. Okay, let's see here the relationship between the KCC and the intersite test. Let's see here what will be the answer. So let's see, the KCC is like a coordinator ensuring all servers in different locations can communicate and share information. The intersite test check if there is any problems with this communication between different locations and predicts how long it could take for the KCC to fix these issues. So it's like he is the coordinator that will check if all of the domain controllers are available, and it can send the data to it. He have the topology, so the intersite will ask the KCC, or it will communicate with the KCC to know if it can replicate, or when it should replicate, when the problem will fix. So the KCC is having the topology of the servers. If one of the servers are down, then the Intersite should ask the KCC when this server will be up, because it knows the topology, and it knows when they are all running and operational, so it can begin the replication. This is the topology. So this is the one that having the blueprint of the servers or the domain controllers in the network. So for the replication to continue. So for example, before beginning the Intersite test, it should communicate with the KCC to see if the sites or the domain controllers are available, and it can communicate to them, or it can replicate to them. So this is a very, very important thing. They work together. Intersite needs to replicate data, so it needs to make sure that the domain controllers in the sites are available, and they are working. So the KCC knows, okay, the domain controllers and their topology and their locations, all of these are known by the KCC. He is the one that having the topology. Okay, so if we go further here, I think he has something. So here is saying that the KCC creates and manages the links between servers, both within a single location and between different locations. It ensures information is properly replicated across all servers in the network. The Intersite checks if there are any issues with these links that the KCC manages between different sites. It looks for anything that could stop or delay the servers from different locations from sharing information. So it should check with the KCC to know the topology and if these servers are available. Okay, so this is the thing, or this is the one, or this is the relation between the Intersite test and the KCC service. Okay, let's again ask, let's go further here. Let's ask Rika for an explanation also. Let's go there and copy, and then ask Rika like this question. Okay, this is test to check the communication and data transfer between different sites in a network. Looks for any problems that could stop or slow down this communication, and tries to estimate how long it could take for the system to fix these issues. So the KCC is responsible for telling the Intersite test when the topology will be available, or when the servers will be available. Okay, so it should give it some time to know when the domain controllers will be available. Let's see. I need to say something here. What are the mechanism? What is the mechanism? The mechanism of KCC of the KCC to estimate let's fix issues. Okay, what are the mechanisms to estimate how long it fix these issues? Let's see. So how the KCC will predict that the replication issue will predict how much time the replication problem will be solved. So let's see here the answer of Rika. This is the mechanism. Let's see the answer here, because I think it is interesting to know. Here is saying that Topology, the KCC continuously generates and updates the replication topology. Okay, this topology defines the connections and replication schedules between all domain controllers. Latency monitor. The KCC monitors the latency or delay in application between different DCs. If it detects a higher than expected latency between two DCs, it can infer that there may be a problem with the network connection or application process. Very, very good. Failure detection. If the KCC detects a failure in the application between two DCs, it can estimate the time it would take for the failure to be detected. This is based on the replication schedule and the latency between it. For example, if the replication is scheduled to occur every 3 hours but hasn't occurred in 6 hours, the KCC can infer that there is application failure. Very, very good. Recovery time estimation. Once a replication failure is detected, the KCC can estimate how long it would take for the failure to be resolved. This is based on the replication topology and the latency between the DCs. For example, if there is a replication failure between two DCs that are connected over a slow network link, the KCC may estimate that it would take several hours for the failure to be resolved. Okay, so in summary, the KCC in knowledge of replication topology, latency monitoring, failure detection, and recovery time estimation to estimate how long it would take to detect and fix replication issues between different sites in AD environments. This allows administrators to proactively address any replication problems before they can impact the overall health and performance of the AD. So very, very good. This is a way how the KCC will handle this one. Let me ask, let me ask ChatGPT for this answer. Let's see the answer of ChatGPT. He's saying the same thing here. So this is also one good thing to know. This is also another very, very good answer. Let's see if this could be an answer that we can read. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, I can go further here. The knowledge consistency checker doesn't directly estimate how long it will take to detect and fix issues, but it has a mechanism and process that help maintain the active direct replication topology. The actual detection and fix of issues have involved several steps and mechanisms. Mechanism of KCC, topology generation. The KCC generally generates and maintains the replication topology for both intrasite and intersite. This is the same as RECA. Process runs periodically by default every 15 minutes to evaluate and update the connections between domain controllers. Yes, that's correct. Optimizing and optimization. The KCC monitors the health and performance of the replication topology, optimizing it to ensure efficient and reliable replication process. It adjusts the topology based on the changes in the environment that add the addition or removal of domain controllers. Correct. How KCC detect issues? Detection. When a replication failure occurs, the KCC the KCC log events in the event viewer, which administrator can monitor. The event indicates such as unreachable domain controllers or replication timeout. Action. The KCC will attempt to reestablish connections or create alternative passes for the replication. Yes, correct. Event logs and alerts. Detection. Where is the event logs and alert? So here, where is the event logs? Okay, event log alert. The KCC generates specific event IDs 1311, 1566 in the event viewer to signal problems with the application. Logs provide details on the nature and the location of the issue. Administrator can use these logs. Intersite replication and KCC function. The KCC use link bridges to determine the best process for replication between sites. It calculates the cost and availability of the different sites links to optimize replication. Failover mechanism. If in case of a failed connection, the KCC can reconfigure the topology to use alternative routes. Okay, process. Okay, estimating detection and fix time. Regular intervals. The KCC runs at regular intervals to check the replication topology. This periodic checking helps in quickly detecting issues. Okay, time estimation. Since the time taken for the KCC to make time estimation. As the KCC runs frequently, it can detect issues within a short time. Okay, that's correct. Automatic adjustment. The KCC can automatically adjust the topology to bypass faulty connections, which helps in quickly restoring replication. The estimated time, the time taken for KCC to make this adjustment depend on the complexity of the topology. Okay. Manual intervention. Uh, For issues the KCC cannot automatically resolve, administrator need to intervene based on the event logs and alerts. Time estimation, the time required for the manual intervention depends upon the severity of the issue, so and so. So this is again looks the same like RECA, but RECA gives us a more detailed answer. Okay, let me first read the summary. The KCC lacks an automatic manager that regularly checks the connection between servers to ensure they can share information smoothly. It detects problems by logging events and using periodic checks. When problems are detected, the KCC can often fix them automatically by finding new paths. Okay, it can't fix the problem automatically. It alerts administrations to take action. The frequent checks help in quickly detecting, yes, and estimating time to fix issues. Okay, so anyway, by understanding this, okay, but I need something here. I need to take this answer and verify it is correct. Just wait for a moment. Okay, let's go to Copilot, verify if this answer is correct. Okay, let's go see this one. Okay, so I say it's quite correct. Okay, it's quite accurate. Let's say, is there any inaccurate data? KCC monitors the latency replication between the different DCs. Well, it is true to emphasize the KCC, the intersite, of course, it's related to the intersite, not in the delays between the intersite latency. Otherwise, it focuses on the replication delay between domain controller located in different sites. Yes, correct. What he's saying here is saying here that latency, different DCs, okay? Okay, this is one thing to note, but let me have the same here and uh, 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 let's see, you have, this is, okay, let's see, this is another, another answer better than yours. So let's see, he has given us a good answer here. Let's see, here is saying that, okay, this seems to be a good answer, and it was verified it is correct by uh, by uh, by okay, by Copilot. So we can read it loudly if we go there and ask it to be read to us.
Thank you for the feedback. Let me refine the explanation to make it clearer and more concise. How the KCC estimates detection and fixed time for replication issues. 1. Topology generation. Continuous updates. The KCC continuously creates and updates the replication topology, which defines the connections and schedules for replication between all domain controllers, DCs. Purpose. This ensures that the replication paths are optimized and that each DC knows how to communicate with others. 2. Latency monitoring. Monitoring delays. The KCC keeps an eye on the time it takes for data to replicate between different DCs. Problem detection. If it notices that replication is taking longer than expected, it suspects there might be an issue with the network or the replication process. 3. Failure detection. Identifying failures. The KCC can detect when replication between two DCs has failed based on the replication schedule and observed latency. Example. If replication is supposed to happen every 3 hours but hasn't occurred in 6 hours, the KCC flags a potential replication failure. 4. Recovery time estimation. Estimating fix time. Once a failure is detected, the KCC estimates how long it will take to fix the problem. This estimation is based on the replication topology and latency. Example, if there's a replication failure between two DCs connected over a slow link, the KCC may estimate that resolving the issue could take several hours. Summary of the KCC mechanism. The Knowledge Consistency Checker, KCC, in Active Directory AD uses several mechanisms to ensure efficient replication and quickly address issues. 1. Topology generation. Keeps the replication paths updated and optimized. 2. Latency monitoring. Checks for delays in replication to identify potential issues. 3. Failure detection. Detects when replication isn't happening as scheduled. 4. Recovery time estimation. Estimates the time needed to fix detected issues. Real-world example. Scenario. Your company, Global Corp, has offices in New York, London, and Tokyo. Each office has its own domain controller, DC, that needs to stay in sync with the others. KCC actions. Topology generation. The KCC ensures that the DCs in New York, London, and Tokyo are properly connected for replication. Latency monitoring. It monitors how long it takes for updates to travel between these DCs. Failure detection. If the Tokyo DC doesn't receive updates from New York within the expected time, the KCC flags a potential problem. Recovery time estimation. If a slow network link is causing the issue, the KCC estimates how long it will take to reestablish proper replication. Benefits. By using these mechanisms, the KCC helps administrators identify and fix replication issues quickly, ensuring that all parts of the network have up-to-date information and operate smoothly. This approach ensures that any replication problems are detected and resolved promptly, maintaining the overall health and performance of the AD environment.
Very, very good answer. I think here the Rika is giving us good answers than ChatGPT in this part exactly. Here we have discussed the discussed the Intersite test. Okay, we have explained it in layman terms. We have an example from Rika and from ChatGPT, so we can now have a clear vision about what is the Intersite test, what is the KCC event test, the relation between the Intersite and the KCC, and especially the mechanism of KCC in detecting replication issues. We have seen the topology generation of the KCC, latency monitoring of the KCC, failure detection, recovery time estimation. So we will continue, or let me stop here and I will get back to you guys. So just wait for a moment. So let's continue, guys. Now we have seen the explanation of the Intersite test and the KCC event test and the relationship between the Intersite and the KCC service. So let's continue and see the other tests. You can see we have the Intersite pass or Intersite test passed, even though I have only one site, so this will not be considered as a successful one because I don't have don't have, I have only one site, so this is not an indication of a successful. So for example, if I try to disable or to suspend the additional domain controller and run the Intersite test, it will succeed. Okay, so this is, it will not indicate that I have a problem with the additional domain controller, because this is related to sites, replication between sites. Okay, so as you can see, this test successful doesn't mean that your domain controllers are up and running. So we will continue. So I'm trying to suspend here the additional domain controller now, the primary. Think now I will run another test, which is called known. This is the KCC. Okay, so I'm running the KCC. Okay, as we can see here, the test is successful even though I have the primary domain controller shut down. The KCC event is correct, or it had passed. There is no errors concerning the KCC on this server, but it didn't test the KCC service on the primary domain controller. So this does not consider to be a successful test. It's already didn't see any errors concerning the KCC on this server, but it didn't check the KCC on the other server. So now we will have another test called known holders, or let me show you all what it is named KnowsOfRoleHolders. Check whether the domain controller can contact the servers that hold up the single flexible single operation master. So this is the correct one. Okay, so the Vismo check, it doesn't communicate with the flexible single master operations, or flexible single master operations. So this is the correct one. It will check and see if the domain controllers that are holding the 5 Vismo roles. Okay, this is the correct one. Okay, so let me show you all something here. I need to go and give you the description of this one. Let me go to the link. Just wait for a moment. If you go there and go like this, just a moment. I need to go to the link itself. Okay, here we go. This is the cross validation. Now we can go, okay, like that. Okay, I need to go up. So if you go like this and go to not this one, and see test and logins, secure channel, where is the replication, where is the known Vismo? Okay, I think this is not here, but let's see and ask it to analyze this one or give us an explanation about this one. Here it is. Here is the here is, I think we can get it from here. Just a moment. So we'll copy that and tell it to explain it. Explain. This is very simple. It will test and see if or which domain controller hold the 5 Vismo roles, or which or what are the domain controllers that are holding the 5 Vismo roles. Okay, so this is basically what the test will do. Explain this text in layman terms. Okay, and this is very simple. I think we don't need to go further on it. So as you can see here, very simple here. This is a test to see if a specific domain controller, a key server in the network, can reach and communicate with the other servers that have special responsibilities known as Vismo roles. Okay, so it will check it can communicate with domain controller that has specific responsibilities known as Vismo roles. Vismo roles we have discussed before. What are the Vismo roles? Okay, what does the knowns of role holder check do? This test check if the domain controller can successfully contact the server that hold the 5 imported Vismo roles, like making sure you can reach your key colleagues when you need them. Okay, so what is important? Ensure network health, because if any one of these roles are not working, there would be problems in the domain. Okay, so here he's saying a scenario. You are in a big network, so and so. So you might have issues like login. So if one of the Vismo roles are not contacted, you will not be able to log in. You will have problems adding new computers to the network or adding new domains. Okay, so these are all signs of signs that you cannot communicate with the servers that having the Vismo roles holding it, or the servers holding the Vismo roles, or the domain controllers that are holding the Vismo roles. Okay, but as you can see here, very simple, but we can go to Rika and ask it the same. Explain this text using layman's terms. This is describing the DCDIAG test known as let me see the name, KnowsOfRoleHolders. Okay, so let's do that and do like this and do like that. And then let's go and tell him describing the DCDIAG, and let's go. So I think this is not, if there is any problem with one of these Vismo roles, okay, this could not indicate a replication problem, but a network issue problem maybe, but not a replication, okay. So anyway, this is very simple test and very straightforward. If you go and see, or we will run the test. So for example, I have the server holding the 5 Vismo roles is down. So if we run the test, it should fail. Okay, so I will run it from the additional domain controller. Let's see if it will run correctly. We will see it should not, it will not be able to communicate with the primary domain controller that holds all of these Vismo roles. So as we can see here, first of all, it knows that this server holds the schema, but it can't communicate with it. RPC, so RPC, this is the protocol of communicating with the server. It cannot communicate using the RPC. I think this is all of them are not responding through the LDAP. Okay, so this is, I think, the one for communicating with the Active Directory, and RPC, it is the one for communicating with the servers or transferring data between the servers using the RPC protocol. So it cannot, or it was not able to communicate with the server using the LDAP or the RPC, which means both are down, or both are down, the Active Directory is down and the domain controller itself is down. Okay, so perfect. We can see here that it already verifies that the DCSM0125 is holding all of these Vismo roles, but it cannot reach it. Okay, so this is one of the good tests we can apply to our network and use it efficiently. So we run another test called machine, or rather test here. This is another one called machine test. So there is another test called machine account. Checks whether the machine account is properly registered and that services are advertised. Whether the machine account, he is talking about the computer account, it is registered in the Active Directory. And the services running on this machine or this computer account is advertised. You use the recreate machine parameter to attempt to repair if the local machine account is missing. Use the fix machine account parameter if the machine account flags are incorrect. This problem may arise, or this test happens, or there is an error, or very famous error that is related to this service, something called trust relationship error. Okay, this can be fixed. I think anyway, I think no, this is not correct, but anyway, let's see the AI tools and ask it to explain this one. Just wait for a moment. Okay, let's go and ask Rika here. So let's see, or go further here. Machine account, and let's copy all of this and ask ChatGPT. So let's see if ChatGPT can also help us to explain this. Okay, this is Rika. Okay, so we can see here very simple explanation. Is saying that machine account in Active Directory, each computer or server that joins the domain gets a machine account. This account represents the computer in the Active Directory environment that is used for authentication and authorization of the machine, not the user. Machine account test. The machine account test in the DCDIAG checks if the machine account for the local computer has properly registered and is set up correctly in the AD. Okay, what it checks. This test verifies that the machine account exists in the Active Directory and properly registered. The services on the local computer are properly advertised in the AD. The machine account has the correct flags and settings. So we will run this machine test on the domain controllers. This should verify that the computer account for the domain controller exists in the Active Directory and it's properly registered. The services attached to this computer account is properly advertised in the Active Directory. The machine account has correct flags and setting. Okay, so this is very critical. If there is a problem with the computer account of the domain controller, then there will be a lot of problems. I think maybe you will not be able to log in and a lot of things. So we should, if the computer account of the domain controller is properly registered, if you go to the OU in the Active Directory called domain controllers, you should see the computers or the computer objects for the domain controllers. Okay, so this is very important. If there is a problem with the computer account of the Active Directory, you can tell him recreate machine account, or fix machine account if there is incorrect flags or setting. Okay, why it is important? If the machine account is missing or set up incorrectly, it can cause issues with authentication authorization. So if the domain controller cannot authenticate to the Active Directory, so this will be a problem. This is the one of the servers handling the authentication and authorization, and the application for, and also the replication if the machine account is not correct. This can impact the overall health and performance of the Active Directory. Okay, so DCDIAG checks if the machine account for the local computer is properly registered and set up in the Active Directory. It also provides option to recreate or fix the machine account if any issues found. This is important to ensure the local computer can properly authenticate and communicate within the Active Directory. Let's see here what is the answer of ChatGPT. Okay, say it checks if the computer account in the Active Directory is set up correctly and if the computer services are being properly advertised or announced to the network. This ensures the computer account, like user account, but for computer itself, is properly registered. So this is one thing I was saying from a couple of minutes. The account is essential for the computer to communicate with other computers and services in the network. Okay, checking service advertising, now seeing its services correctly. This allows the computer, so on. So let me ask it a simple question here. Why or I should run this test on the domain controller. So this is a very, very basic question. So let's copy that and ask Rika as well, the same. So let's see here the answer, which I think will be very straightforward. If we go and ask it a simple question, running the machine test or machine account test on the domain controller is important for several reasons. Ensure proper registration of domain controller. The DC machine account must be correctly registered in the Active Directory for it to function properly. Correct. This is a critical server that manages user authentication, directory service, and many other network functions. If its account is not registered correctly, it cannot perform this task efficiently or effectively. Verifying service advertising. DC must advertise its services correctly to other computers and users in the network can find and interact with it. Explanation. Services like authentication, directory lookups, and group policies depend on the DC being visible and accessible to the network. Proper advertising ensures that all network devices can locate and use the DC services. So it's very, very important. The machine account will ensure that all of these services are properly visible and accessible in the network. Detect and fix issues early. Running the test helps identify and resolve issues with the DC machine account before they can cause significant problems. Okay, explanation. Let's services. Okay, we have seen detect issues. If there are issues with the machine account, such as being incorrectly registered or its setting being wrong, it can lead to network disruption. These tests allow you to catch and fix these issues. Explanation number 3. Number 4, maintain network security. Ensuring a DC account is correctly set up and secured helps maintain the overall security of the network. Okay. A compromised or incorrectly configured DC can be a major security risk. Proper registration and configuration help protect against unauthorized access and ensure DC operates securely. Okay, so this is one of the good things for registering the domain controller computer account in the Active Directory. Maintain network security. Troubleshooting connectivity and authentication issues. This test helps troubleshooting issues related to network connectivity and user authentication. Problems with the DC machine account can lead to connectivity issues when users cannot log in or access network resources. Running this test helps diagnose and fix these problems, ensuring smooth operation. Okay, let's see a real world scenario here. Imagine you are in an office relies on DC named DC1 to manage user logins, access to shared files, and apply security policies. Important of running this test. Ensure registration. Running the machine account test ensures that DC1 is properly registered in AD so it can authenticate users and manage resources. Verify advertising. The test checks DC1 is correctly announcing its services so other computers know where to find it for authentication and directory services. Troubleshooting issues. If user reports login problems or connectivity issues, running the test help identify whether DC has account or service advertising issues. Fix problems. If your issues are found, you can use the provided parameter, recreate machine account or fix machine account to resolve these, ensuring DC1 operates smoothly. In summary, these tests can do so and so. Choose it correctly set up and visible, crucial for running so and so by identifying. In short, this test is essential for keeping a domain controller and by extension your entire network functioning properly and correctly. If we go to Rika and see the answer, so the machine account represents the local DC in the AD environment. If the machine account is missing or set up incorrectly, it can cause issues with authentication authorization for that DC. This can impact services like curb press authentication for users on other systems that rely on the DC. Replication. The machine account is used for replication between DCs. If the machine account is missing or incorrect, it can cause replication issues that can impact the overall health integrity of the AD. AD health. Machine account is a key component of all AD health checks. By running the test, can provide proactively identify and fix any issues with the machine account before they cause larger problems in the AD environment. DC operations. The machine account is used for various DC operations like holding visible roles, managing replication topology. If the machine account is missing or incorrect, it can impact the ability of DC to properly function in AD environment. Security. Machine account presents the local DC in AD. If it's missing or incorrect, it can create security vulnerabilities that could be exploited. For example, if the machine account is missing, it may allow unauthorized access to the DC. Okay, I need to do something. I need to verify this answer just to make sure it is correct. Just wait for a moment. Verify if this answer is correct. It is talking about running DCDIAG machine account tests on DC, on domain controller. So just to make sure that we are correct, okay, any incorrect in accurate statements okay, this is for the KCC. Okay, this is not there. Okay, so it's talking about other thing. Let me do a little test here also. If you go to perplexity, just to make sure, if you go to the perplexity AI, here you go, that's it, and we will run the same answer here. Let me go and tell it like that, and we have the same okay. Let me get the correct one. Okay, verify. Let's go further up. Let's tell it to verify the answer. Okay, here you go. Where is verify the answer is correct? Just wait for a moment. copy. So we'll go there and do like that and open the Pro and see if the answer is correct. Yes. Generally accurate and comprehensive. Okay, it explains the importance of running machine account or domain controller, its implementations on various aspects. Authentication of the machine account presents the local DC and the AD environment. Machine account setup and critical issues with the authentication, okay, replication, AD health, security, additional contexts. The provided sources offer detailed explanation of various Active Directory, including troubleshooting replication problems. The answer provided is accurate and comprehensive in its explanation of the importance of running machine account, so and so. Effectively covers the key points mentioned above and provides additional context from the provided sources. Any inaccurate statements? Right. The answer provided is generally accurate and comprehensive. However, there are a few minor inaccuracies or omissions that might be addressed. Missing context does not provide full context of the machine account within the purpose of the test. Lack of specificity, not the steps to run it. Okay. Omission of parameters. We know the parameters. Recreate machine account. No explanation of OACNF. Does not explain the meaning of OCNF string that appears in the output of the machine test. Let me ask it, what is this one? What is this OACNF? Can you explain that? Because this is a new thing. Can you explain that? Point. Okay. Can you explain that point? Okay, let's see what is the answer here. No CF string, it appears in the output of machine account test, is a unique identifier for the machine account of the domain controller. It is a combination of the domain controller name and the GUID of the machine account. Okay, this string is used to identify the machine account of the Active Directory, is used for various purposes such as replication and authentication. Very good answer. ONF string is a unique identifier for the machine account of a domain controller. It is a combination of domain name and the GUID. This string is used to identify the machine account of the Active Directory, used for various purposes, so and so. Additional contexts. Okay, verification. I think we can copy this one and ask ChatGPT to explain it. Explain this text using layman terms. Okay, let's see. So this is a long answer, because this is a good thing here. This is something related to the machine tests. Okay, so I think we can just ask the ChatGPT to explain it further, because this is a new thing. I didn't know it. I didn't know it before. Okay, so let's go and ask ChatGPT to explain it. Okay, like that, and then we'll make Control A and then Control C. Let's see the answer of ChatGPT. Okay, the OACNF string is a unique card for the domain controller on the network. It combines the network name with a special code unique to the domain controller. The unique ID helps tasks like sharing data between servers, location, and verify the server identity authentication. It ensures that each domain controller is correctly identified and can perform its role in the network. So this is a good answer, but let's see if there is any other thing here. What is this? This is special code that helps identify domain controller and network. Think of it like a unique ID or badge. Okay, break it down. Unique identifier is a unique identifier for the machine account or domain controller. It combines the name, like the network name, and the special code called the GUID, globally unique identifier. This is a unique to each machine account. Okay, purpose, it is used to identify the domain controller machine account in the Active Directory, which is important for several tasks, including replication and authentication. Real world example, imagine a company has a domain controller named DC1 in a network called example.com. So let's see how he will give us the string of this one. Unique ID. Access this unique ID for DC1. The ID helps other servers and computers recognize and communicate with DC1 for replication, for authentication, but he didn't give us the string or how this string will be. I needed to give me an example how this OACNF will be. Let's give us an example. Verify the importance, distinguishing. Okay, let's tell it. Give me an example of OACNF string. Let's assume we have a domain named matrix.internal and the domain controller name is DCSM0125. Okay, let's ask, give me an example of 0 OACNF string. Okay, let's see what will be the example here. Let's see here. In this example, okay, the OCNF string is a part of the RDN, which is used to identify the machine account. So we can see here, for example, CN user, OC, so and so. So this is OCNF, it's a large number. Okay, so this is not like what ChatGPT has offered us. I think it was not correct because this is not the real one. Okay, this is not correct. I think maybe it's correct here because this was for the user. Okay, so here we can see that if we go there, this is a user, then slash OCN, so and so. So these are all the test and so on. So if you go there and see this one, I think still this is not correct one. Anyway, so it's like this one. So good one. Let's go and ask Rika to also explain this this topic, the topic of, or this one. Just wait for a moment. Just wait for a moment. copy. Okay, so let's go there and do like that, and let's do this. This is a very short answer, but either way, we have a new info that the OACNF is critical to identify the machine account. Okay, so we can close this one, and let's go and continue, or we will do the test and we will stop at this this moment, or let's stop at this minute. Okay, machine, not machine test, it's called machine account. So let's go here again. So we'll done the machine test, machine account, I think, not machine test, machine account. Machine account, and as we can see here, it verified that this machine account is registered in the Active Directory, but this is only for the additional domain controller, not for the primary. So we need to do it on both machines. How to fix secure channel problem? Okay, this happens because the machine account is not correct. There is a problem with the machine account, so you need to fix a secure channel failure. So this could happen, or the trust relation error. I think this can be if there is a problem with the connection between the domain controller and the workstation. Okay, an issue or an error appear called the trust relationship. Okay, or a problem with the trust relationship between the domain controller and the machine. This can be fixed using PowerShell script. I think this is already stated here in Mr. Low van der Pol. If you go to the, let me go, here you go, here it is. You can, to repair, here is saying that to repair a local machine account, you can use the netdom command. Here it is, netdom reset password server, your domain or your RDC name, used password, so and so. This will replace your DC name, sorry, your DC name with the name of your domain controller. So this will help you to fix the error appearing for a trust relationship, or secure the connection between your server and your domain controller and the workstation. So I think we will stop at rejoin a server to domain without a reboot. So this is the command. So here we will stop at this test, okay, minute 49:15. We will stop there and we will continue discussing the different tests. Hope this video was informative for you all, and thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.